Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. On the page 25, let us read from the verse 16, or let us read from the verse 20. Dātavyamiti yaddānam dīyate nupakārine deshe kāle ca pātre ca Taddanam satvikam smritam yattu pratyapakarartham phalamuddishya va punaha diyate ca parikrishtam tadrajasamudahritam. What happened? Taddanam rajasam srutam. Taddanam rajasam srutam. There's a different reading here. Okay, yes. Thus, describing the threefold or three kinds of dana or charity. So that is a charity born of a mind enjoying sattva, where datavyam. So where the mind enjoys sattva, predominance of sattva, then there is this motivation from within, datavyam, that I should give. In case of yajna, yastavyam. Person feels that I should perform this act of worship. Datavyam, person feels that I should offer, I should give this charity. Diyate anupakarane, and that also is offered without any expectation of a return reward, either in terms of a return favor or in terms of some punya karma or the virtue. Deshe kale cha patre cha. And also the charity of the gift is given in a responsible manner. Deshe, at an appropriate place. In India, of course, there are places which are considered as holy places. And giving charity in those places is particularly auspicious, particularly in the places of pilgrimage. Like when you are in Prayaga, Prayaga is where the confluence of the three rivers is. When you are in Banaras, when you are in these holy places, then giving charity is particularly auspicious. Therefore, when you travel in India, when you go for pilgrimages, you will find lots of beggars assembled outside the temple and outside also the holy places, in these places of pilgrimage, waiting for dhanam or charity. And people do that. People have a value and they have this faith that giving charity here is more auspicious than giving it elsewhere. Kala, time also are specified, like Sankranti. Sankranti is a day when the sun moves into a new house. Like Makar Sankranti is a day when the sun moves into the Makara Rasi. These are considered to be auspicious days, or times rather, for giving charity. And so on this day called Makar Sankranti, you find that everybody, right from the morning itself, I remember that from 4 o'clock in the morning, people would come, seeking some gift. And the householders are all ready also. And there are certain items that are given as gift also on given times. Deshe, kale, cha patre, cha, also deserving people. Meaning that when the charity is given in a responsible manner, it is given because it is one's pleasure to give. There is a feeling of inner richness which motivates a person to give. It is given also without any calculation or consideration of a return of favor, because giving itself generates a joy, and therefore there is no expectation of any other favor. And it is given in a responsible manner. This is called the Sattvikam Dhanam. Yattu Pratyupakarartham, however, when something is given with an expectation of reciprocation of reward, that I am giving this charity, therefore I'll get return in favor, that kind of a consideration is there. Phalamuddishyava punaha, even if one does not expect any return from the same person expects some other kind of reward in terms of earning punya or merit, or maybe earning some name and fame. These are the typical characteristics of a mind which is predominant in rajas. Because ego gratification is very important for a person in whom rajas is predominant. And therefore, when he gives, he makes it well known that I have done this somehow. Dieteja pariklistam, he doesn't want to give. But sometimes, under certain circumstances, he is pressurized to give. He gives with reluctance, grudgingly. So when something is done grudgingly, or it is given with a desire for gratification, or it is given for a return in favor, these are all the characteristics of the rajas. Then continuing with the verse 22. Now we are told about the tamas dhanam, meaning the dhanam of the charity that originates from tamoguna. Adeshakale yaddanam apatrebhyascha dhiyate asatkrutam avajñātam tattamasamudahritam. Yaddanam adeshakale diyate, that is given at an improper time, at an improper place. Charity is given but without any responsibility, without any consideration of whether this is an appropriate time, whether this person, it should be given to the person when the person needs it. At that time it should be given. At a place where it is needed, then it should be given. Or it is given at a place which is not an auspicious place. It is given at a time which is not an auspicious time. So time and place which are marked as auspicious for giving charities, one doesn't take into consideration. Only because this person doesn't have any trust in this kind of thing. So he doesn't care. Swami, all times are the same. God has made them. All places are equal. So some kind of a thinking they have, and so they don't care whether this is an auspicious place or an auspicious time. Apatrebhyascha diyate, given to undeserving people. Undeserving meaning that, as we said, we should see that the charity that is given also is used in a responsible manner. It helps the person. It helps a good cause or helps the person. Otherwise the person will waste that money or is going to misuse it or abuse it. That can happen. That when you give something, it is misused or abused. It is possible that this with the money, either the person may damage himself, he may go and drink or do something like that, or he may hurt somebody else, and therefore it is possible that if you make a charity, it may hurt the person or hurt somebody else. Like a country giving billions of dollars to some other country, and those people buy all kinds of weapons to attack somebody, and so that is a dhanam. Charity is given without any responsibility. So this is the tamas, charity arising from tamas. Asatkrutam. Also it is said that when you give to somebody, give it with respect. Particularly when something is going to respectable people like brahmanas, you should wash their, make them sit in a proper place, wash their feet, or put dots there, offer your prostrations, and thus with respect, give them with respect. A sattvic person always will give with respect. Because, as we said, when a good person feels that it is my privilege to give, in fact, he feels obliged that this person has accepted to receive charity from me. He feels obliged because for you to give, your hand should be higher, somebody should place their hand lower than yours, then alone you can give. This person has accepted to be a recipient and he has given me the honor of giving, so the person feels honored. In fact, the sattvic person feels honored when he gives. The tamoguni person, on the other hand, feels just the opposite. He feels that these fellows don't deserve. They're all useless fellows. They're all, beggars. They don't deserve asatkritam, without any proper treatment, without respect. Avajñātam, with disdain, with contempt. You just throw something at somebody. This also is done. People offer something to beg, just throw them because they just, they are so angry. Sometimes the beggars also pressurize you and pressurize to give. People just throw things on them with contempt. So without proper respect, with contempt. So when in this manner something is given, tat tamasam udahartam. So shraddhaya adeyam, ashraddhaya adeyam. What is given should be given with honor. Without honor, it should not be given. Shriyadeyam, bhiyadeyam. Always give in proportion to your own wealth. Give with an awe that maybe I might offend this person, or maybe I may not follow the proper stipulations of scriptures. So, there is some kind of an awe within oneself. Also a certain amount of shyness. So with humility, the sattvic person will do this. A tamoguni person does the opposite. Tat tamasam udahartam. This kind of charity is born of tamas, as Lord Krishna says. In this manner, as Lord Krishna had promised in the beginning, Lord gave us the classification or categorization of ahara, yajna, dana, tapaha. 3 kinds of food, sattvic, rajas, tamas. Yajna, 3 kinds of yajna, all the forms of worship. 3 kinds of penance or austerities, and 3 kinds of charities. By 3 kinds we mean sattvic, rajas and tamas. The purpose of describing it is so that we become aware of our own tendencies. And where we find ourselves acting as prompted by rajas or tamas, we would know. While giving it to somebody, suppose I am giving charity to somebody, what kind of thoughts occur in my mind? Do I feel that I am obliging the other person, or I feel I am obliged? Do I respect that person in my mind, or I look down upon that person with contempt, I look down upon them and I give them? Even though outwardly my behavior may be all, how is my tendency, how is my disposition of my mind, it will be worthwhile observing ourselves. When I perform a ritual, when I perform a homa or any other ritual also, what is the kind of tendency in my mind? Does my mind automatically ask me the question, what is in it for me? Am I doing for a personal gain? Or am I making a show by doing it? Is it that I want the world to know about it? Or so that I'll gain respect and name? Is that why I'm doing it? Let me know that this is born of rajas. Or when I do it, I have no shraddha at all. I don't care whether any stipulations are followed or not, whether the mantras are chanted properly. One who doesn't care for any stipulation, just does it for whatever reason. That is tamas. So we do find these tendencies in us. Mind has all the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. So sometimes, even a person who is sattvic, sometimes his mind may have rajas, sometimes the mind may have tamas, then we will know from these tendencies whether it is rajas or tamas. And this is being told to us so that we can avoid rajas and tamas and deliberately cultivate the sattvic attitude. What is the sattvic attitude? Lord Krishna has told us. With charity, with penance, what are the austerities? Sattvic attitudes are told so that we deliberately cultivate those attitude. And we deliberately discourage the attitudes born of Rajas and Tamas. Now, in the last section, Lord Krishna tells us a very interesting thing. Lord Krishna tells us the glory of reciting God's name. Lord Krishna prescribes that how we should recite God's name because it brings about auspiciousness. What happens is that all these four, whether it is food, even though we are very particular about making sure that my food is sattvic food, or when I perform a yajna or a ritual that I'm particular about making it sattvic, whether it is yajna, tapas, dhanam, anything, and still we do not know everything that goes into that. After all, the food, for example, you think that this is sattvic food, but after all, the food can have different kinds of defects. The food may be defective based on what the very food is. For example, as we said, it is fish and fowl and garlic, all that by their nature itself there. And sometimes you don't know if such a thing is added in your food. You don't know. Swami, you look, I thought that this was a cheese vegetarian pizza, but under the cheese there was pepperoni. You put it in your mouth and you find out. You don't know sometimes. In these days, of course, we don't know what goes into what. And so, where animal products go in there, at what place this thing is made. Particularly when you're eating all these kind of prepared things, you don't know who has made them, with what attitudes they are made. You don't know. Also, the materials that we use for worship also, how clean or pure they are, we do not know. Sometimes we may not even know that we are uttering the verses or mantras which are perhaps not quite right. We may not know. Meaning that even though the person has Shraddha or the faith and the best intentions, still because of ignorance or because of wrong knowledge, it is possible that there may be some deficiencies in the things that we do. We don't know all stipulations. Oh Swamiji, is that what you're supposed to do? I didn't know that. Oh, is that what I'm supposed to do? People then discover later on. So in spite of our sincerity, there are things that we may not know. So Lord Krishna here prescribes a way of trying to overcome this kind of defects. Lord Krishna says, utter the name of God. And name of God utterance has the capability of making even a defective process free from defect. Because when you perform yajna, dana, tapaha, it is food that gives the immediate effect. But when you perform a yajna, when you give charity, when you perform an austerity, you don't know what the outcome is because it is adrushta or unseen. The results are unseen. So we do not know that whether everything has been done correctly or properly or not. So here Lord Krishna prescribes the utterance of name of God, so that if there are any deficiencies in our performance of various religious actions, those deficiencies will be made up and you will get the appropriate result. It is called samanya prayaschitta. There are specific prayaschitta means act of atonement. We know very well that in our store of karma, in prarabdha, there is both punya as well as papa. And therefore, it is customary, the reason why we ourselves perform prayers regularly. We perform acts of worship, prayers, charity, all of these we do. These are what we call general prayaschitta, broad spectrum acts of atonement, to neutralize the effects of whatever papa karma or unbecoming effects may have been We do not know what is in our past. We do not know what exactly destiny brings. But then we know that obstacles do come. Sometimes external obstacles, sometimes internal obstacles. And these obstacles, we believe, are the result of some improper or unbecoming actions we may have done in the past. We don't know what it is. Therefore, we deliberately perform these acts of prayer, of worship, of charity. We deliberately do them so that they create a punya or a virtuous effect to neutralize the effect of the papa karma or sinful actions of the past. Mamopata samasta duridakshaya dvara Shri Parameshwara Prityartham. So when Brahmanas start performing a ritual, this is what they say. Mamopata samasta durita. All durita. Durita means these sinful or unbecoming tendencies that I have gathered in the past. Tat kshaya dvara, for removing them. So that my mind becomes pure. Parameshwara Prityartham, for pleasing the Lord, to acquire His grace. We need the grace of Ishvara, so that the obstacles on our path will be removed. Whether you want some material gain or spiritual gain, either way, prayer always is necessary. And utterance of name of God also is by way of prayer. It's a general prayaschitta, general act of atonement to neutralize the deficiencies which may have been left inadvertently because of ignorance or because of our lack of alertness. Whatever deficiencies or shortcomings are there in performance of these religious actions, that they will be compensated for, and that the actions, religious actions that we perform, will lead appropriate result. For that, this recital or utterance of God's name is prescribed by Lord Krishna. So, verse 23 we are told, Om Tat Sidit Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha Brahmanastrividha Smritaha Brahmanastena Vedascha Yajñascha Vihitah Pura. Lord, Om Tat Sat. It is Nirdesha. Nirdesha means a name here. That by which something is indicated is called Nirdesha. So, something is specified. Actually, it means Nama here. Om Tat Sat iti Nirdesha. By these three words, in fact, it is God or Ishvara who is specified, who is indicated. Meaning that Om Tat Sat are name of Brahma, they are name of God. They are all well known in the Vedas. As in Taittiriya Upanishad we saw, Om iti Brahma, Om iti Idagum Sarvam. Taittiriya Upanishad says, Om iti Brahma. Om is name of Brahman or God. Om iti Idam Sarvam, because Om alone is all this. So, Om is well known to be the name of God. Tat also is a well known name. Tattvamasi, that thou art. Taditiva etasya mahato bhutasya nama bhavati. Also in the Veda it is said that Tat is a name of mahato bhutasya, of this great being, of the Paramatma. Tat is the name of Paramatma. Sat sadeva somya idam agrasid ekameva dvitiyam. Hey Somya, O good looking one, this universe before its creation was Sat, one without a second. Thus we find these three names being used for God. Om, Tat and Sat. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, Om Tat Sat iti nirdeshaha brahmanaha trividaha smrutaha. Smrutaha. is known. Vedanteshu chintitah. In the Vedanta, in the Upanishads, elsewhere in the Vedas also, the wise people have said this, that Om Tat Sat. In some place, Om is mentioned as name of God. In some other place, Tat is mentioned as name of God. In another place, Sat is mentioned as name of God. And thus, Om Tat Sat. This is mentioned as name of God. Either you call it one name or you call it three names. There is a difference of opinion among the commentators. Whether Om Tat Sat is three names, because there are three different names, or does Om Tat Sat become one name? Because Nirdesha is a singular. And therefore, somebody thinks that Om Tat Sat becomes one name. And like Omkara has the three matra, Akara, Ukara, Makara, so also this name has three elements, Om Tat Sat. Or you can say that Om is Ishvara's name, so is Tat, so is Sat. Brahmana, Trividah, Smrutah. This threefold expression of Brahman. Now, in the second line, Lord Krishna sings the glory of this. That sings the greatness of this name or greatness of this three. Brahmanastena vedascha yajnascha vihitah pura. Pura in the beginning of creation. Lord Krishna says that when Brahma, the creator, created the universe, then he uttered these words, Om Tat Sat. Brahmana, when he created Brahmanas, the priests, Vedaha, the Vedas, Yajnaha, the rituals. So Brahmanas are those who perform the rituals. Vedas are the means of performing rituals, because Vedas are the means of knowledge from which you learn about rituals. Many Vedas prescribe the rituals, and Yajnas are rituals that are performed. So Karta, Karma and Karan. Brahmanas are the Kartara, they are the performers of rituals. Yajnas, rituals are those who are performed, that's called Karma. And Vedas are Karanam, means of knowledge. So Karta, Karma, Karana, all of this. All these three are considered to be very auspicious or very pious. Vedas, of course, very pious because they are revealed by Ishvara. Yajna. Yajna is a ceremony that is considered to be extremely pious. That is the most predominant ceremony prescribed in the Vedas. And the Vedas say that it is Yajna, or the sacrificial ceremony, that in fact sustains the whole universe. And Brahmanas are the priests, the learned people who perform those ceremonies. That means it's Brahmanas, Vedas and Yajnas, these are the three most celebrated and most auspicious aspects of creation. Lord Krishna says that when these three were created, Tena, by utterance of Om Tat Sat, Vihitaha Puraha, they were created by utterance of Om Tat Sat. So, how auspicious these words must be? That even the Creator uttered them while creating the Brahmanas, the Vedas, and the Yajnas. Therefore, here Arjuna, understand that these are the most auspicious or extremely auspicious names of God. And now, of course, subsequently other names also became very well known. So you hear this kind of verses at the completion of the rituals or ceremonies. Yasya smrutya chanamuktya tapah puja kriyadishu nyunam sampurnatam yati sadyo vandetam achyutam. Yasya smrutya chanamuktya, by remembering whom or by uttering whose name. Tapah puja kriyadishu, when you perform tapas or austerity, puja or the worship, or other rituals when you perform, then by whose remembrance or by utterance of whose name, nyunam sampurnatam yati, whatever deficiencies are there are all removed and that ceremony becomes perfect. Whose name is it? Sadhyo Vande Tam Achyutam. To that Achyuta, to that Lord Narayana, I salute. Therefore, utter his name. Therefore, the Brahmana is Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. Or, Prayaschittan Yasheshani, Tapah Karmatmakani Vai, Yanitesham Asheshanam, Shri Krishna Nusmaranam Param. Nobody's heard any of these verses, looks like, but anyway. Prayaschitani, Asheshani. For Prayaschitta, as act of atonement, Tapah Karmatmakani Vai, you perform tapas or austerities, perform other rituals as Prayaschitta, as act of atonement to neutralize the negative effects. Instead of doing all of that, Tesham Asheshanam Shri Krishna Anusmaranam. Just remembering Shri Krishna does everything. Therefore, after finishing the ritual, you say Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna. By uttering that name, whatever deficiencies are there are all made up. You need not do any special acts of atonement. This utterance itself is okay. I mean, this is the kind of faith that people have, and this is the practice that they follow. Pramadat kurvatam karma pratyaveta dhvareshvyat. Particularly when they perform the yaga, homa, then now pay attention. The Brahma priest at the end will say Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. Smaranadeva tad Vishnu sampurnam syad. So when you are offering, making offering into fire, inadvertently you forget it, do it twice and it goes off and something like that happens, Or instead of one material you offer some other material. And therefore this kind of deficiencies are likely to be there. When you are doing 1,000 ahutis and 1,500, all kinds of big things are there, then it's possible. Then there's Tad Vishnu Smaranad. Just remember Vishnu, then everything will be all right. In short, in the Vedic culture, the utterance of God's name is considered very auspicious. It creates a very auspicious effect and in turn neutralizes the deficiencies or the negative effects which may have arisen because of ignorance or inadvertence. So Lord Krishna prescribes Om Tat Sat. Now in the next 4 verses, Lord Krishna eulogizes or praises this Om, Tat and Sat. These 3 words or 3 names are praised. That praise is this is called Arthavada. Praise is done as a part or for the purpose of enjoining. So the style of the scriptures is that when they want to enjoin something, that you should do this, then they will praise doing that and the outcome of that. So now in the verse 24, we hear the praise of the name Om. Tasmado mityudahritya yajnadana tapah kriyaha pravartante vidhanoktaha satatam brahmavadinam. Tasmad, therefore, because Om is so auspicious, therefore Tasmat Om iti udahritya, therefore udahritya uttering Om. Yajnadana tapah kriyaha pravartante. So when you want to perform a yajna, it starts with Om. You want to perform a charity, Om. Perform an austerity, Om. They commence the auspicious act. All these religious acts of yajna, dana, tapaha, they commence with the utterance of Om. Vidhanoktaha satatam brahmavadinam. Brahmavadinam. By the people who are brahmavadis, meaning those who are learned in the Vedas. Those who are learned in the Vedas and the scriptures, they always do these acts by utterance of, beginning with utterance of Om. They commence these things by utterance of Om. Vidhanoktaha, as prescribed through the injunctions, when they perform these enjoined duties, like yajna, dana, tapaha, then they always do with the commencement of Om, utterance of Om, they commence. And so, you see, even the Creator, he said Om Tat Sat because in creation also some problems can be there or some defects can be there. When a Creator also creates, it's possible that he also, there may be some inadvertence there also, he must follow the rules and karma and everything, and suppose it's not quite followed, somebody is not quite rewarded as the person should have, jiva should have been rewarded and somebody is rewarded. Suppose such things are done in creation. Then even Brahma is Om Tat Sat. And this, how, and then, as we said, Om is the third for Yajna Dana Tapaha. The next one is the word Tat. Next verse says that. Tadityanabhisandhaya phalam yajna tapah kriyaha dana kriyascha vividhaha kriyante moksha kangshibihi. Tat iti phalam anabhisandhaya moksha kangshibihi, by those who are desirous of moksha. So those who are desirous of moksha, what do they do? Yajna tapah kriyaha dana kriyascha vividaha. So those who are aspirants, desirous of moksha, when they perform yajna, dana, tapaha, then because they are mumukshus, therefore they do not want any reward, personal reward as a result of performance of these karmas. Therefore, phalam anabhisandhaya, without expectation or without the consideration of the personal reward. Meaning that while performing yajna, tapaha, danam, these acts of these religious acts, they don't think of the outcome. Abhisandhi means all the time keeping in mind. They don't keep in mind the outcome of the phala, the personal reward. But tat iti abhisandhaya. But then they always think of tat or Ishvara they think of. Meaning they perform the actions as an offering to Lord. When does an action when does it become an offering to Lord? While performing action, you keep Lord in mind. It is not that I say, now this I am offering to Ishvara, and so then it gets offered. It's not like that. But it becomes an offering to Ishvara while performing that action, my mind is centered upon Ishvara. How do you do that? By uttering of tat. Tat. So you do not think of the phala or the result. Rather than that, you think of Ishvara by eternal service. Tat, tat iti abhisandhaya. Phalam anabhisandhaya, tat iti abhisandhaya. So without consideration of the phala, at the same time keeping in mind tat, meaning Ishvara, the mumukshus, the seekers of moksha, perform these yajna, dana, tapaha, these activities. So therefore, this name tat is so great that it's even capable of giving moksha when an action is performed without the expectation of personal reward. And for praising the name Sat, Lord Krishna has actually two verses. Sat means good, we know that also, but Sat is name of God, and so here the verse 26 tells us, Sadbhave sadhu bhave cha sadityetat prayujyate prashaste karmani tatha sat shabdah partha yujyate. Sat shabdah partha yujyate. He partha, the word sat of the name sat is employed, used. Sadbhava. Sadbhava. something coming into being. So when something comes into being like a son, like a child, then that is an occasion which is called sat or good. And therefore, that is when you use the word sat, that something has come into being. Sadhu bhavecha. Also, someone who becomes good. Someone who may not be good, sadhu bhava, but becomes good. Then also use the word sat, like sat purusha. Or for one person who is good, you use for anything that is good, you use the word sat, like sat purusha. Sajjana. Sajjana means a good person. Sat purusha, a good man. Sat karma, a good action. Prashaste karmani tatha. Also with reference to prashasta or exalted action also, the word sat is like sat karma. Prashasta karma. Prashasta also means that is auspicious action, such as weddings, etc. Vivahadau. So that's called mangala karma. Mangala means auspicious action, such as weddings, such as, then that is called sat karma. It is called an auspicious action. Sat means good or auspicious. So a person is good, so sat, sadhu bhave. When person displays sadhu or goodness, then you call it sat person, sat purusha, sajjana. When an action is exalted, then also use the word sat like sat karma. Sat shabda partha yujyate. So look at the glory of this word sat. That it brings into existence something which is not. Sadbhava means coming into being of something which is not. Suppose you perform an action and the action is performed in such a manner that in fact the action will not bring the result because it is not done properly. But then if you utter the word sat, the name has a capability of bringing into being the karma phala which otherwise may not have been. Sadbhava. Suppose the action that is performed is not good, then also good means is not done properly, then also when you utter the word sat, it makes it good. Prashaste karmani, and any action also becomes an auspicious action. Sat shabda partha yujyate. Hey partha, the word sat is employed for these purposes. Then further, yajne tapasi dane cha sthiti saditi chochyate karma chaiva tadarthiyam sadityeva abhidhiyate. Yajne tapasi dane cha sthiti. Sthiti means steadfastness. Abidance or steadfastness. Some people, they are steadfast in performance of yajna. Regularly or every day they perform yajna because they are steadfast in performing yajna. Some people are steadfast in doing tapas or austerities. Every day, regularly they perform austerities in terms of fasting, etc. They all do it regularly. Some people are steadfast in dhanam or charity. They do it on a regular course. So there are some people who are given to yajna, some other people are given to tapaha, some other people are given to dhanam. Sthiti, that steadfastness is called sat, is called sannistha. It's called sat sthiti or sannistha. When there is nishtha or abidance in doing any one of this, yajna, tapaha or dhanam, yajne, tapasi, dane cha, sthiti, that sthiti or nishtha is called sat, sannistha. Karma chaiva tadarthiyam. Now you see the yajna being performed. You see charity being given. You see the austerity being performed. But this may need a lot of background work. Performing yajna may need a lot of background work. There are many people who do things in background. People prepare garlands. They bring flowers and prepare flowers. They bring the firewood. They bring the grain and clean that. Lot of work is to be done. In performing ritual, now you can see all the decorations are started. Now people are in the background work. You will see the priest performing the ritual tomorrow. But for that, a lot of background work is done. So that work which is done for performance of yajna, tapa, and not only yajna, dana, tapa, not only they are called auspicious actions, but then the actions or any activities required to actually make this possible also, karma chaiva tadarthiyam, whatever actions are performed or activities are done for yajna, for dana, for tapa, there also is called satkarma. There also the word sat is used. But usually in the Vedic times, there was this division of labor that man would perform the actual yajna and woman would do all the background work. Therefore the division was that whatever this man is doing this work apparently, but the 50% of punya of the merit goes to woman because she is karma chaiva tadarthiyam, because she all does the preparatory work. Of course, that time there was no such protest. Why should I not do that? That is the problem. Why should I not do that? Because the equality, I guess, was not in terms of doing the same thing. Equality was only in terms of dignity, in terms of respect. For whatever you do, it's not what you do, but the attitude which you do, and therefore, so whether you're visible or not visible, so woman is not visible. Why should I not be visible also? I guess that kind of ambition may not have been there those days. And there were things were okay. These days girls ask the question, Swami, why should I not do the Agni Samskara, the final cremation rite from my father? Why should my brother not do it? Why should I not do it? Okay, I don't know. What are you going to reply? If you refer to the books, they say, you are all orthodox people. But if you are quite happy doing the background work, then it is as auspicious and it brings about the same kind of merit as which is brought about by the main ceremony. That's karma chaiva tadarthiyam, and the actions that are meant for the preparation, they are also satkarma. And thus, Om Tat Sat. So utter this name, Om Tat Sat. That is what Lord Krishna in fact gives here the initiation, Om Tat Sat. And that's the reason why any auspicious action is begun Om or Om Tat Sat. Then somebody says, that's a good idea, Swami. You say that if you utter Om Tat Sat, then whatever defects are there, they're all made up, so then we won't bother about, we won't bother whether preparations are done properly or not. So suppose then there are fellows who are asuras or demons who have not faith at all. They also perform rituals, and that was described earlier. Suppose they also say Om Tat Sat, then will it be the same? Meaning, will Om Tat Sat, even if there is an action or ritual performed without any faith or shraddha, and to make up for that deficiency, you say Om Tat Sat, then will Om Tat Sat do the work? Lord Krishna says no. Shraddha, of course, is necessary. Whatever you do it with shraddha or faith. Meaning faith in the scriptures, faith in the validity or the veracity of scriptures, faith in Ishvara, that there is Ishvara, karma phaladata, that there is this fairness, that he is the giver of the karma phala, that the action that is being performed will give rise to result. That is also called faith. When you do some chanting, when the astrologer says do this 17,000 times, and so you finish up 17,000 times, but if there is no faith, I don't believe Swami, but I do it because he's told me. No, that doesn't work. I don't believe in this astrology, but he has told me, so I do it. That won't work. They say that whatever you do, you should do with faith. Faith in the efficacy of what you are doing. That I am reciting this mantra so many thousand times, and I know that mantra is effective, that it will bring about the results. With that faith or trust, if you do, then the mantra is likely to be effective. But if I don't have trust in what I am doing, it is going to be ineffective. Whether you utter Om Tat Sat or don't utter. Because then Om Tat Sat also he doesn't care. I don't believe in Om Tat Sat, but he says, so I do that. So without faith or trust, nothing yields the result. Lord Krishna says that whatever you do, it should be done with faith. By faith, you see, all of this is only on faith. Vedanta doesn't require this kind of faith, but Karma Kanda requires faith. Karma Kanda means if you perform this ritual, then you will get this result. So people perform here so many rituals. Swamiji, I need a job, and Swamiji, my son should get married, and all kinds of things we want, and you perform different rituals. I'm suffering from this disease, what should I do? All right, perform this Mahamrityunjaya mantra, Homa. Swamiji, I do that, I don't believe in that. Then it won't give the result. So while doing, there must be this faith and trust that this particular ritual or this particular action will yield this result. And then, in spite of that faith and your best effort, if there are some deficiencies in there, then Om Tat Sat will be able to make up for that. But if there is no faith and no sincerity, then even God's name cannot help it. That's what Lord Krishna says in the last verse of this chapter. Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asadityuchyate partha nacha tat pretya no iha. Ashraddhaya hutam. Ashraddha means lack of shraddha. As I said, first is shraddha, that what I am doing will yield the result. Meaning I have shraddha in that ritual. Why do I have shraddha? Because this ritual is prescribed by scriptures. I have shraddha in scriptures. I have shraddha or the trust in scriptures that whatever they prescribe is right. Then, because the ritual is prescribed by the scriptures, therefore I have trust in that also. And I have trust in the Devata. You recite Hanuman Charita 100 times to get a certain result. You must have trust in Hanuman also that he will give this result, I don't think Hanuman can do that. Then suppose you don't believe in the capacity of the Devata, it doesn't work. So trust in the Devata who is worshipped, trust in the method of worship, there is ritual, trust in the scripture which prescribes the worship, trust in the people who perform the worship. Suppose you commission this, japa, and you commission a brahmana. Sometimes people don't have time to do that. So all right, you can ask a brahmana, you give a dakshina, appropriate dakshina. That was Brahmins don't do Swamiji. Suppose they do that. Suppose you don't trust them. And so, without ashraddhaya, without trust at all levels. Hutam, you perform a homa. Dattam, give a charity. Tapastaptam, perform austerity. Krutam cheda, whatever else you may do, whatever other, any religious actions you perform, asadityuchyate partha, it is of no avail. Hey partha, that's no avail. Nacha tat pretya no iha. It does not give any benefit either here or hereafter. It is simply a waste. Anything that is done without shraddha is a waste. Even they say that devatas do not accept ahuti unless it is given with shraddha. When you give ahuti, you may not know what's going on, but at least there is shraddha, that faith is there, devotion is there, that what I am doing is a proper thing to do. That this ahuti is, Swamiji, what is this? All going to fire. Where is this devata here? Suppose that's what you believe. People believe, that this is all waste. All going to fire, burning everything. It's all turning to ash. If you don't have shraddha, then don't do it. Because if you do it without shraddha, that ahuti or offering will not yield any outcome. And so, shraddha, no, I do just because somebody tells me, do because somebody tells you, but do it with shraddha. No, I do because otherwise he will be displeased. Under pressure you are doing it. That's all rajas and tamas. So do with Shraddha, sattvic Shraddha. And so many stories are there in the Puranas also where things are done without Shraddha. And they have not yielded the result. There is a very famous case of one Daksha Prajapati. This is described in Shiva Purana in Mahimna Stotra also. Kriya Daksho Dakshaha Kratupati Radhishasthanuvrutam Rushinama. Oh, he had made a big show. Daksha Prajapati is the creator. And he is a great lord. He has all the resources at his disposal. And he is very well versed in performing rituals himself. Kriya Daksha. Kratupati Adhishasthanuvrutam. He is the king of all the human beings. Rushinam Artujam. He commissioned the best of the sages to perform this ritual. Sadasyaha, Suraganaha, all the devatas were invited also to preside over. All this Daksha Prajapati made a big show. But he did this for what? To teach a lesson to Lord Shiva. I can do without you. Now Lord Shiva is the deity for whom this is done. And he did not invite Lord Shiva. Shraddha virhetam yajnam. Without Shraddha. In fact, not only he did not have Shraddha, because what happened is, he was angry at Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was his son-in-law, by the way. His daughter Sati was married to Lord Shiva. And Daksha Prajapati, being the creator, enjoys a great status. So once in a big sabha or an assembly, when many devatas were all sitting, Lord Shiva also was sitting, Daksha Prajapati enters that sabha and everybody gets up in honor. And Lord Shiva must be in his own thought, God, he didn't get up. And Daksha Prajapati noted that, he said, hey, this is my son-in-law. And so he doesn't get up in respect. I'll teach him lesson. Just teach him lesson. He organized this huge ceremony, invited everybody except Lord Shiva. And the ultimate end was what? That yajna was destroyed by Lord Shiva himself. Lord Shiva is the one who wants to give the result of the action. Meaning that wherever he sees that some good act is being done, Lord Shiva wants to favor that. But here, he became the destroyer because it's all done without the Shraddha. And so in Ramayana also, Ravana is performing ceremonies and Indrajit is performing all kinds of things, but without Shraddha. So Lord Rama himself destroyed, his people went and destroyed those things. All these stories are being told to emphasize the importance of Shraddha. This is Shraddha Trayavibhaga Yoga. The whole chapter was to discuss or to describe the necessity of Shraddha, or the faith, or the right conviction. It was said that everybody is born with Shraddha or conviction. But what is important is Sattvic Shraddha, the right conviction. That is the main emphasis, so that we can look at our own convictions, our own tendencies, and where we find the effect of rajas and tamas, we can, with an effort, remove that and cultivate the sattvic tendencies. To conclude, the last Sankalpa Vakya, Om Tat Sat Iti Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītāsu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyāyām Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Shraddha Trayavibhaga Yogo Nama Saptadashodhyāyah. In this manner, 17th chapter, which is called Shraddha Trayavibhaga, where the division of the threefold Shraddha was done. In the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gītā, which is of the nature of a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, of which the main theme is Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman, and Yoga Shastra is a means for Brahma Vidya, which form the subject matter of Bhagavad Gītā, which is nothing but Upanishads. In that, the 17th chapter is concluded. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः। हरि ओम। पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि